Sooner Nation, Longhorn fans, welcome to episode 132 of the Bevo Podcast, the only podcast exclusively dedicated to covering the greatest rivalry in college football, the University of Texas and the University of Oklahoma. I'm here with my man, Kevin Miller. I am John Whitson. Kevin, you would think by the rhetoric, the disrespectful, untruthful, flat-out insane rhetoric that the University of Texas, forget the University of Texas. I don't even know why I said it. Probably because I threw in the lines insane, but forget this. You would think the rhetoric would indicate that the University of Oklahoma does not even deserve to be on the field against the University of Tennessee this Saturday night in Norman, Oklahoma. One would think that Oklahoma is lucky to have the absolute privilege to bask in the glory that is Tennessee Volunteer football. You would think that Oklahoma has done nothing in its history to garner any level of respect from the Southeastern Conference. Kevin, I think people have lost their damn minds, including Oklahoma fans. This is the University of Oklahoma. We are the bluest of the blue bloods. 7 national championships, 7 Heismans. We own the SEC in games we played against them. This is absolute, utter insanity that Oklahoma should be thinking so poorly of themselves. I don't care who Tennessee rolls in. I don't care who Alabama rolls in. I don't care what happens when we roll into Auburn or roll into Ole Miss. It's irrelevant because the only thing that's constant, the only thing that's true is that the University of Oklahoma is a football team that is unrivaled in their success, in their culture, in their program, in their anything. I'm done. I'm done with all this crap. Tennessee's going to come here at 6:30. Fat-ass Josh Heupel, I don't care he played for Oklahoma. That's 25 years ago. It's irrelevant to me. Oklahoma is going to absolutely roll against the University of Tennessee. They have no idea what to expect from the Norman faithful on Saturday night at 6:30. They think Rocky Top is loud? Get ready for Boomer Sooner because it's going to blow their freaking ears off and we're going to roll. And that's the end of the podcast, Kevin. That's all I got to say.
Just shut it down here, huh? Just shut it down.
Boomer. That's it. I'm done.
You're done? All right, we're out.
Dude, what is happening? Why are OU fans running around fearful of Tennessee? Tennessee has done nothing since 1998. They've been mired in mediocrity. They're a joke. Their best player ever in the history of their program did not win a Heisman or a national championship. It's insane the level of disrespect Tennessee fan is showing Oklahoma. You would think by looking at Tennessee's schedule that they have summarily beat Alabama, Georgia, and Kansas City Chiefs coming into Oklahoma. You would think that's the level of talent that they've been beating people 73-0 by. Dude, Chattanooga, what are we talking? They beat a team. I got it right here, Kevin. This blew my mind. They played Chattanooga. Chattanooga lost to Mercer 10-3. I didn't even know Mercer fielded a team. Okay.
Neither did I. It's the first time hearing about this.
Kent State, I think they actually won. I don't know. My notes might be wrong here. It doesn't matter. They played a team called St. Francis, and they had to put a comma and the state of Pennsylvania next to it. And I still don't know what school they're talking about. And it was 23-17. What in the... We act like Tennessee is the greatest thing in the history of the world. Can they beat Oklahoma? Well, sure, anybody can beat Oklahoma. Hell, Houston almost beat Oklahoma. But to act like Oklahoma doesn't deserve to be on the field, people are out of their damn minds, Kevin. They're out of them. I can't deal with it right now.
So what are you saying a Sooner fan is running around scared? What's Sooner fan saying?
Every Sooner fan. Everything. We're worried about the offensive line. We're worried about Jackson Arnold. We're worried about the running game. Okay, so what? So what? I've seen bad Oklahoma teams rise to the occasion time and time again. And I don't even think this is a bad team. This is the best defense that Oklahoma has had since the first decade of this century. Okay? We have a Buckus Award finalist, a Thorpe Award finalist, the most coveted defensive lineman in the transfer portal, who, by the way, is playing very well. We have R. Mason Thomas finally decided to play football. He only won the Bronco Nagurski Award for best defensive player in the country last week. We've got defensive backs out the wazoo, and I just don't even understand why we are freaking the freak out. Can we lose? I'm not stupid. Of course we can lose. Will we lose? We will not lose, Kevin. We will not lose. Oklahoma doesn't lose to Tennessee. Oklahoma doesn't lose in Norman. Defense wins, and defense is going to carry the day. And Jackson Arnold's going to do just enough to beat Tennessee's ass on Saturday night. There you go.
Well,
I said it.
Let me say this. Let me say this, right?
I don't care. I said
I wouldn't be surprised if you guys win. I wouldn't be surprised. But everything you said, well, most of what you said.
I think everything I said.
Is true.
I think everything
most
I
of
said
what you
was
said.
true.
You said your history is unrivaled. I think
Unrivaled.
that's a stretch.
Unrivaled.
That's a stretch. Great history, but not unrivaled. And we got to realize,
dude,
man,
Notre Dame, the four horsemen of the apocalypse, Newt Rockne and Rudy, and the freaking coach had to come and steal our sign. Okay? They stole our sign because they knew they weren't good enough to come up with their own slogan. Unrivaled, Kevin.
Play like a champion today.
That's correct. That's correct.
Look, I get you fired up, and you should be fired up. I'd be fired up,
dude,
too.
This is the SEC. We've been waiting for this. It is so hard not to cuss today. Trust me. For all those that have the kids listening to the back of the car, I'm going to do my best. But we have been waiting for this for, I don't know, 3 years, 4 years. I can't even remember.
3 years.
And on top of that, we've been waiting to put ourselves in a position to be a part of this SEC, which is regarded as the best conference in college football, maybe the best in college sports, bar none. And that's probably true. But as of right now, nobody is respecting the University of Oklahoma. Nothing. No respect. You'd act like Tulane almost beat us. They didn't almost beat us, dude. We covered a 13.5-point spread.
Correct.
I mean, stop it. Our defense held them to 3.9 yards per play, or yards per whatever. It's like our defense shut them down. It was two turnovers. It just goes on and on and on. And you act like it was a close game. It wasn't ever a close game. Jackson Arnold had it the entire time. Kevin, these people are going insane. And I hope that when Texas goes to the SEC, when Texas plays their first SEC game, I hope that people will respect y'all just a hair more than they respect us.
Well, they will because we're playing Mississippi State.
And you're the number one team in the country.
That is true. First time since 2008. How about that?
And where'd you say we can find your game this weekend against Louisiana Monroe?
On ESPN Plus. That's our reward for being number one.
Congratulations.
Hey, I'll take it, though. I'll take that number one ranking, man.
We are good
these times.
Kevin, we're going to break down, of course, the Oklahoma-Tennessee game. I mean, it's the game of the week. For Oklahoma, it's the game, maybe even of the decade. I mean, I don't think I'm overstating that. Outside Texas games, this is probably the game of the decade for Oklahoma. It's the last time.
It's massive, man. It is.
The last time we hosted a top 10 team in Norman was 2017. Okay, so that's almost 7 or 8 years.
Was that Ohio State that year?
No, it was TCU. It was TCU, and we beat them. And we beat TCU. So, but it's a big deal. It's a big deal to host. This is what we've asked for. This is what we want. Now we got to perform. And then, we'll talk a little Louisiana Monroe, Texas. Mostly, we're going to talk about your current, and I expect to be continuing starting quarterback in Arch Manning, great running back. Arch Manning, And we'll talk a little bit about his backup in case something was to unfortunately happen to him. And we'll talk about if Texas can cover the ginormous 44.5-point spread. But first, let's take a quick look at week 4 and what we can expect. In a surprise announcement by Fox, they are taking the big noon kickoff show to Marshall at Ohio State, where Ohio State is a 40-point favorite. Is that the weakest pregame location in the history of pregame locations for any of these national shows?
I know. Yeah, I think so. It just makes you wonder, is something happening? Like, is there some kind of, historical significance in this matchup? Because of all the available places to go to.
I don't think so, because
Columbus against Marshall.
Did you see Marshall's coach in his press conference?
No.
They have a local restaurant that offers free biscuits to all the football players as part of an NIL package, which sounds really good to me.
Yeah.
And he said in his press conference to all the Ohio State players, if you're interested in transferring to Marshall, I've got to hook up with this company and you'll get free biscuits. So if you're really fast and you're really strong and you're really skilled, come play at Marshall and I'll get you some free biscuits. Dude, yeah. So I can't imagine I can't imagine something's that historical if he's outwardly tampering with players and enticing them with free biscuits.
Always be closing, man. Recruiting never stops.
Dude, I love it.
Yeah.
Listen, just on this, just in like the sheer possibility that somebody's motivated by biscuits, you got to have that ready to go.
Yeah. Speaking of Ohio State, I know you mentioned how you guys.
Real quick. Yeah. I'm more of a breadstick guy.
Okay.
I like breads. I mean, if we're going to go with like a fluffy, pillowy kind of pre-dinner, I like biscuits in the morning. Don't get me wrong, but I love bread. I love breadsticks.
What about rolls though? Like Texas Roadhouse.
Yeah, those are good too.
Yeah, that's a nice balance between the two.
You know what I really like is Hawaiian rolls.
Yeah, those are great.
Hawaiian, dude, you can just listen. No, I'll tell you when the best time to eat a Hawaiian roll is, and we're going a little off. That's okay. Is the Thanksgiving leftovers with the Hawaiian roll? With the Hawaiian roll, that's what you want. You don't want white bread in that situation.
No,
you want the sweetness of the roll.
Was.
Anyway, go ahead. You were going to talk football. Go ahead.
Well, you're saying Ohio State. You mentioned that. I know you like to talk on here about how you guys went up there and handle business against them. Yeah, planting the flag.
That's correct.
27. Texas has to go there next year. So,
do you really?
Yeah. So that's 3 years at Alabama, at Michigan, and at Ohio State.
That is impressive scheduling by Chris Del Conte. I mean, it really, really is. It's great for the program. It's not going to hurt you. It's just not.
Especially with this new playoff format. No, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get all the credit in the world for going to play everybody. Obviously, it didn't hurt you this year because Michigan wasn't worth a flip. But it just looks good. It feels good. It gets you fired up for games. Gets your fan base fired up. I love it, dude. OU has tried to do that. Castiglione hasn't shied away from big games. We had Ohio State. We had Tennessee. We had Georgia scheduled before we were going to go to the SEC. But I think the SEC move definitely messed up getting us a pretty decent schedule. And
that's
now
why you ended up playing Maine this year, right? To replace the original Georgia game?
No, I think Maine was always there because we had to pick up so we had to pick up a game for Georgia and an additional game because we only played 8 SEC games.
Gotcha.
So I think we picked up Houston. I think Houston was good to play us. And then I'm pretty sure it was Houston. So anyway, all right. All right. The CBS game at 2:30, however, is a logical choice for Big Noon kickoff, but I guess they only go to games they're going to cover, which I got to like game day a little bit more for that because they'll go wherever the game is. But
yeah, they'll go, even if they're not covering it. Yeah.
All that being said, this is a game we'll probably pick, and it's USC at Michigan. Not as exciting and sexy as it might have sounded last year, but I still think a really good game. Michigan is a 5.5-point dog at home to USC. Texas at the time was the number 3 team in the country when they played Michigan.
Yeah, 3 or 4, something like that. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's fine. I don't think you can take that game and extrapolate it to USC, who is not the number 1, 2, or 3 team in the country.
Yeah,
Coming off a 7-5 season and having to replace a quarterback, like to me, it's just totally different. So this line, when we go to pick it, I'm not sure about USC covering 5.5.
Yeah, it's interesting because Michigan now they've had quarterback issues. They're starting Alex Orji this weekend over Davis Warren, who threw 3 interceptions against Arkansas State last weekend. The thing is, though, for USC, their defense looks very much improved over the last few seasons since Lincoln has been there. Michigan ran for 300 yards, though, against Arkansas State. So we know what they're about. We know what they're going to try to do to USC. Can they hold up? And that'll be the biggest test for them so far, at least from a physical standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, it's playing right into USC's weakness until proven wrong. We haven't seen USC stop the run in 3 years. So yeah, it's going to be huge. LSU can't run the ball that good, right? I don't know that there's some dynamic running team. So I don't know that USC had to worry about that when they played them. Yeah. So anyway, we'll come back. We're going to pick that game for sure. SEC matchups: Florida at Mississippi State. Maybe Florida's last chance to get a win this year. They are a 6-point favorite at Mississippi State.
Yeah, if they don't win this, man, I mean, I don't know if Napier makes it out of the stadium.
A border war between Ohio at Kentucky. Kentucky's a 20-point dog looking to rebound from their nail-biting loss against Georgia.
20-point favorite, right?
I had 20.
Yeah, but 20-point favorite, right? They're playing. You said Ohio.
Did I say 10?
Well, you said 20-point dog.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. Yeah, Kentucky's favorite.
Okay, 20-point favorite. Okay, just making sure. I'm like,
yeah.
What do I not know about Ohio?
The aforementioned Arkansas State is going to Iowa State. Iowa State is a 22-point favorite. Miami of Ohio is at Notre Dame, 28-point favorite for the Golden Domers. This is an interesting matchup in the ACC. Georgia Tech, who was thought kind of highly after knocking off Florida State, is now just one of the other teams that have beat Florida State. They're up against 19th ranked Louisville. Louisville is a 10-point dog. Is Louisville any good?
I have no idea. They got some talent. We'll see. This will be a good test for them because Georgia Tech is a good football team, right? Even if they're not ranked, like we've seen them. They know what they're doing out there. So
when Oklahoma and Texas were still in the Big 12 and there were constant talks of expansion, especially after we lost A&M and Colorado, Missouri, Nebraska, when there was just constant talk of expansion, Louisville to me was the one we missed out on as a conference. They were a good basketball team at the time. They've always been a very competitive football team. I mean, they got their down years, but they also have quite a number of up years. Like they'll finish 9-3 a lot. I mean, they could finish 9-3 this year and it wouldn't be surprising. Definitely. So, they've got a good program. You just don't know what you get with Georgia Tech. The ACC is just kind of muddled right now.
I'm just glad they weren't in the Big 12 when Lamar Jackson was there.
Oh, yeah,
no part of that.
No joke. But why
None
did he throw
whatsoever.
the ball? Why did he throw the ball away on that scamper why did he just try to keep it and go try to score?
Oh, on that last one, I know. Yeah.
That was weird, right?
Yeah, it seemed like he had some space. As dynamic as he still is in the open field. Yeah.
Arkansas at Auburn. Auburn is a 3.5-point favorite. This is a game which we kind of probably all hoped would be better. UCLA at LSU. LSU is a 24-point favorite in Baton Rouge. What the heck's happened to UCLA? You lose a coach and you lose a defensive coordinator and you just go to pot? Like, what's going on there?
Yeah, then they hired Deshaun Foster. Remember him? Their great running back? He's their head coach now. So I don't know, man. They just don't appear to be a serious program right now at all.
They must have had some losses in the portal or something because they weren't that bad last year.
No, they weren't. They don't seem serious at all.
Yeah, I don't even understand what's happening. Here's another game we're going to pick. You're excited about this game. Utah at Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is a 2.5-point dog to I still think Cameron Rising less Utah Utes. Am I right? He's not playing against Oklahoma State, is he?
I think he might be somewhat
Really?
questionable. So
well, he was questionable all year last year. What does that even mean?
correct. So who knows? Yeah, this is a great matchup. We talked about the conference before the season. I think it's great. I love this Big 12, the balance of the conference. So this should be a really fun game. We'll see. Utah, they like to run the ball, and they play great defense. And Oklahoma State just gets it done, despite the fact that they have not gotten Ollie Gordon going on the ground at all this season. So it should be a fun one.
It's pretty cool that the state of Oklahoma is hosting 2 of the top 3 games in the country this week. That's pretty cool. Outside of USC Michigan, this is the next best game. So it's pretty neat. Vandy takes on Missouri. Missouri's a 21-point favorite. Miami at South Florida. South Florida 16.5-point dogs.
That could be a little interesting too. That Miami, South Florida. I mean, we saw South Florida give Bama a lot of trouble. Miami
2 years in a row. 2 years in a row, right?
Yeah, 2 years in a row. Gave Bama all they can handle. Miami appears to be serious this year, so it'll be a nice matchup.
I'll tell you what. From a recruiting standpoint, especially, I don't know why Oklahoma and Miami seem to get in battles, but for a recruiting standpoint, we need Miami to stop looking so darn good. Like Miami looks really, really good,
They look very good.
and if Clemson is down and Florida State is down and Miami can start rising up, I don't know that they can ever. They'll never recover what they were in the 90s and then the early 2000s. Like I don't think that's possible. I guess maybe with NIL, but I don't know. That those teams were so good.
They were.
But I get scared when Miami, like I need them to go ahead and lose 3 games or 4 games like they do every year. Like that would make me feel better.
Yeah, interesting kind of old school rivalry between OU and Miami, the mid to late 80s.
Yeah, they played each other in 07 and 09. So in 07, I got to go to that game. Who on their defensive line was Calais Campbell, still playing in the league. I still think getting paid too.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 09, Landry, that's when we opened against BYU and Bradford got hurt. And then we had to go to Miami with Landry Jones and we lost. We lost to Miami in 09. So Bowling Green at A&M. A&M's 23-point favorite. Akron at South Carolina, 28.5. Georgia Southern at Ole Miss, 35. Here's another interesting game in your Big 12. K-State at BYU, plus 6.5 for K-State. I mean, we're still thinking it's K-State and Utah, right? Like those are the 2 best teams in the league, and it's maybe not close after that.
No, I still like Oklahoma State. They're
like
my
those
pick to win. I like him as a top 3 though.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. So that might be one we pick, maybe. But there's a top 25 matchup happening Friday night at 7 p.m. Illinois at Nebraska. Nebraska's an 8-point favorite. Are the Fighting Illini for real, Kevin?
I'm not sure if they are. Is Nebraska for real though? That's my question.
I think they are.
Looking like they are, right? We trust Matt Rule.
I think they're 9-3 for real. Yeah. Right? I don't think they're 12-0 for real, or Nebraska, 1980s, whatever year that would be. Well, definitely not 95 Nebraska, or whatever, or 01 Nebraska. Like I don't think they're that team, but I just think. Listen, I think Matt Rule plays the kind of football that you want to play in the Big Ten, which is defense, control the game, don't put your freshmen in a lot of, tough decision-making situations. I like the way Matt Rule coaches football. I like the way he recruits. I think he's a good spot there. You think about what he did at Baylor.
Correct.
Yeah.
He was great at Baylor. The schedule works for them. They've got this game. They got Purdue, Rutgers, Indiana. Now, they do go to Ohio State, October 26th. Then they host UCLA. They go to USC. They play Wisconsin, and then they close with Iowa. So the schedule.
Yeah. So
who knows?
That's a 10-2 team.
Correct. Potentially a 10-2 team.
And kind of like
really well. Potentially 11-1.
Well, and you talked about it with Oklahoma last year. Okay. Were they as good as their record indicated, or did they just have, were they improved, but they still got the benefit of a really favorable record. Yeah. Maybe Nebraska gets that same benefit this year.
Right.
I mean, I think that's possible. Dude, they go 11-1 though. They're in the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, and the path to the college football playoff is there. If that were to happen.
Oh,
which is crazy. Can you imagine that?
If they go to the Big Ten championship game and lose to Ohio State, and so at 11-1, that would make them 11-2 with both losses to Ohio State, as an example. And they beat SC at SC. I think they're in.
Correct. The path is there.
Hopefully I think
they
they're
don't
in
get
with
ahead of themselves, but
they're in with 2 losses to Ohio State. Does that doesn't 2 losses to the same team? Does that exempt them?
I don't think so, especially if USC keeps winning. Right?
Yeah, I think they got to beat USC. I don't think
they have to beat USC.
I don't think
if USC is undefeated or only has 1 loss at the time, so it helps them if USC stays good up until their game.
Yeah. All right. Okay, Kevin, do you want to pick? We're going to pick USC, Michigan. We're going to pick Utah, Oklahoma State. You want to go K-State at BYU, or do you want to go Illinois, Nebraska? Your call.
We'll go K-State at BYU.
Keeping it in the Big 12. Okay. KSU, BYU. Just for the record, you are 8-8 on the year. I am 9-7. So I get to pick first this week. So I'm going to start in Ann Arbor, and I am going to take Michigan to cover the 5.5. I don't know if they're going to win, but at home, defensively and running the ball, I think they'll keep it close enough to cover the 5.5.
I like USC here. I like Miller Moss. I think they have the huge quarterback advantage, and they can take away. The defensive line is still good. I know Texas completely washed those dudes out, but I think the quarterback advantage that they have with Miller Moss, they can put up some points and neutralize those defensive linemen from a schematic point of view with Lincoln Riley.
Utah, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is hosting, and they are a 2.5-point home dog. You like the Utes or the Cowboys?
I'm going to go with Oklahoma State here. I think it's hard to play there at that stadium, and Utah might not realize that, if they're watching film, and it's a tough place to play. We've both had our issues there, Texas and Oklahoma, in that stadium. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Oklahoma State to cover.
Yeah, it's a heck of an environment. And I'll tell you the other thing, too, is it's going to be hot.
I think 96 degrees.
I think they're like a 2:30 kick on turf. I think it's going to be hot. I'm going to go Utah, though, because I don't like Oklahoma State. And sometimes I pick stuff on raw emotion with no logic behind it.
Yeah, that's part of being a fan, right?
K-State, BYU. BYU 6.5 points at home. They are playing better this year. And K-State struggled a little bit against Tulane, as we know, but then they dominated Arizona. I'm going to say K-State covers the 6.5 on the road.
I'm going to agree with you.
Okay.
I think their quarterback's starting to grow up a little bit.
When we, after we preview these games, we will pick the Oklahoma and the Texas scores. So, going to the first ever SEC game for the University of Oklahoma, we have the University of Tennessee, led by Nico Iamaleava. Nico Iamaleava. Nico Iamaleava. Nico Iamaleava. Nico, look, dude, he looks really good. Okay. And here's the thing with Nico. It's he's been on all through the summer. We've had this game circled for Oklahoma. It's their intro into the SEC. What are they going to do? How are they going to approach SEC play? Is this going to define them for the rest of the season? In many ways, it's a must-win game to have any chance at the playoff. Like, you got to be able to prove yourself against this game. There's so many factors in this game. And a big part of that has been comparing Jackson Arnold with Nico, because they're both redshirt freshmen. They're both 5-star recruits. They're we talk about them a lot being in the same situation in terms of just where they're at and comparisons back and forth. Just looking at the way Nico has been able to perform, NC State, I just don't know how good they are. Okay, they struggled against Western Carolina. They did beat Louisiana Tech 30-20, but I don't think NC State was ever legitimately the 24th team in the country. That's just the way I view NC State.
Look, he's super talented, right?
But he looks.
But he's still a young quarterback.
Yeah, but God, he looks good, Kevin.
Yeah. I mean, the talent is off the charts.
I mean, the deep ball looks good. He's rushing. He's got 17 rushes for 102 yards, 6 yards a carry and a touchdown, 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's at 71% completion percentage, 10.4 yards per completion, 700 yards on the season. But the biggest issue is, have they been tested? I mean,
no, they haven't.
The answer is not even close.
And remember,
right?
They haven't played a road game yet. They've had a neutral site game, but they haven't had a true road game yet.
And so, when I see the Tennessee score, when I see the Tennessee stats, when I see Tennessee, the name Tennessee, when I know Josh Heupel is the one coaching him, it creates anxiety within me. But when I start to break it down a little bit and go, okay, who have they played? What would we have looked like against them? Here's the problem. We played Temple, and we beat Temple 51-3, and they might be worse than any of the teams they played. But I didn't think we looked particularly good against Temple, even winning 51-3.
Yeah, especially offensively.
So there is real concern about our offense. Here's the thing. Injuries have been a ginormous bugaboo for us. My hope is that we have survived through the first 3 games, and we're going to get Hickman back at center and Nick Anderson at wide receiver. I think those 2 pieces can make a monumental difference in the effectiveness of this offense. I mean, those are huge additions to it. We went out to get Hickman. He was one of the best centers, maybe the best center in the portal last year. And Nick Anderson, we all know what Nick Anderson can do physically, the height, the size, the speed, the physicality on the field, like all of the things. And the receivers have been by far the worst part of our game offensively.
Correct.
So to me, it's injuries. If those 2 guys come back, this is an absolute slugfest.
No, I agree. Again, Nico's talent is just so off the charts, man. He can do it all. He's actually a dual threat guy. He can run too. He just doesn't hardly. But he has that ability. We know what their offense, though, is predicated off of. Think what you guys ran with Jeff Levy, right? Even though he's, Heupel came from the Mike Leach family, his system is more Art Briles than, Mike Leach.
Yeah,
it's not
as air raidy.
They're more veer and shoot than the air raid. So they like to run the ball inside, and they'll keep running it until you can stop it, or at least until you start dedicating more numbers into the box to be able to stop it, and then that's when you get the deep shots.
Well, their leading rusher is Dylan Sampson, 45 carries for 357 yards, 7.9 yards per carry, and 9 touchdowns.
Yeah.
To me,
we're early into the season. That's a lot of touchdowns.
To me, that is scarier than any number Nico has put up.
Yeah.
However, I do think that's the strength of our defense, is stopping the run. We have stopped the run effectively against Tulane, against Houston. We'll throw the Temple game out. They were terrible. You and I could stop the run against Temple, but
they're horrible. They were. We
have really done a really good job of stopping the run and forcing them to pass the ball, forcing the quarterback to put the ball in the air. And it's worked. The the Houston quarterback was very effective against us, but we got beat over the top once with a busted coverage. Other than that, everything was underneath, kept it in front of us. All the cliches that come with good secondary play. These aren't the same dudes that Houston has, obviously. Dante Thornton Jr., 5 receptions, 169 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Chris Brazil, the second, which, thanks, guys. Now we have a junior in the second. Like, come on, whatever. 10 receptions, 140 yards, and a touchdown. We got some good receivers that we're going to go up against, but they have not faced Oklahoma's defense. I almost wonder, Kevin, I think you can look at Oklahoma's offense and say those were real problems, and I don't think you can throw those away from the first 3 games. But what of Tennessee's performance can you really take away from their first 3 games? Just that they're really, really efficient when Nico has 0 pressure on him for 3 games in a row?
Yeah, and he did throw 2 picks against North Carolina State.
Oh, really?
He did.
Those were both against NC State?
Yeah.
I don't know. Give me your take on this game.
Well, I think your defense will play well. I think you'll force them to come out of their comfort zone a little bit. I think you might be able to get some pressure on Nico. They like to get the ball out quick, but I think you can affect him with the pressure. I think Venables is going to, show some looks he hasn't seen before and have some exotic blitzes that may make him uncomfortable. So I like your defense to keep them under whatever their scoring average is. Of course, it's 63 points a game so far, but I like it to make them a little bit uncomfortable. The thing I can't get over though with this matchup is your offensive line going against their defensive line, and the fact that you haven't been able to run the ball effectively against the likes of Temple, Houston, and Tulane. That's my biggest concern for Oklahoma in this matchup. How are you going to protect Jackson Arnold? 3 sacks against Tulane, right? Was it 3 sacks against? I know Hickman might be back, but I mean the pressure was kind of coming from everywhere. So, do you think Hickman can solidify that offensive line to have that sort of turnaround against elite talent? I mean, James Pierce off the edge is a first-round pick. What is going to be the plan to block this dude?
I don't want to say anything about James Pierce because I don't want, we know how big the Boomer Bevo podcast is, right? We do not need to get that dude fired up. But he only has 1 tackle.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? I guess he's getting double teamed on every play, maybe something like that.
Uh-huh.
Which of course makes it. Here's the deal. I think Hickman makes a huge difference in offensive line.
Okay.
And there's only 5 dudes. We're on like our 4th string center right now. Okay. You put the 1st string guy back in, we might be a little better. That's just, I'm not even a genius, and I think that's probably true. And here's what I'll say. I said this last game, and I mean it even more. We got to go heavy with our tight ends. Okay. I'd like to see Bauer, Sharp, and Josh Roberts or Jake Roberts at the same time. Because I think that if they don't know where that protection's coming from, if they don't know who's going to release, I think that really, really helps. Number 3, give me Nick Anderson back and let us get the ball out of Jackson Arnold's hands quicker. Okay? He's a big target on the sideline. Set height, get it to him quick. Set height, get it to Deion Burks, and we got Nick Anderson blocking in front of him. Like what? I've been talking about this now for like 3 weeks. But very quick passes out of the backfield, get the ball out of his hands, neutralize their pass rush. Now, the bigger problem to me, Kevin, is not the pass rush. So for some reason, and maybe I'm wrong, and I very well could be wrong. To me, the bigger concern is the run game, not the pass rush. I mean, we're not running it at all.
Yeah, you haven't been able to run it against
anybody.
Yeah.
We weren't able to run against Temple. So I kind of feel like we can scheme, and you talked about it. You've said that OU's pass pro has looked okay against Houston. It wasn't great in the 3rd quarter against Tulane, but it was fine. And I think Jackson Arnold did a really good job running the ball and kind of taking a little bit of that, aggressiveness away from them or making them pay for it, I guess. However, if we can't run the ball with Tatum and Barnes, to me, that's the biggest concern. That's a bigger concern than pass pro for me.
No. You're spot on. If you can't run the ball, I mean,
yeah,
it takes away everything.
And I haven't seen anything that says we run the ball well. Like I don't know. I don't think that there's a magic button that anybody can press that.
And you're putting a lot on your quarterback. The quarterback run game definitely has to be a factor for you guys too. It has to.
Well,
I mean, it was part of the game plan against Tulane, and it was a big part of it.
There's been scuttlebutt that potentially Michael Hawkins gets in at quarterback, and not just kind of like as a package.
Yeah.
To kind of keep that pass rush at bay, to kind of run a little bit of option, a little boot, stuff like that, to kind of give just Tennessee another look to maybe prepare for.
You got to find a way to run the football.
You got to find a way to run the football.
If your running backs can't do it, if the offensive line of running backs can't get it done together, then you have to go to something else. And if you have mobile, athletic quarterbacks, you've got to use them.
Listen, on my keys, I've got running game. It's just number one. It's running game. Number two is pass pro. And within that is getting Nick Anderson back. Because I just think it opens your playbook up a little bit to have a Nick Anderson. Quicker passes, let him go make a play, let him break a tackle, try to go get a play. Turn the passing game into a running game, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then defensively, listen, for the same reason, I am more worried about Dylan Sampson than I am Nico.
Yeah, stop the run. You have to stop. That's how the offense works. That's how they'll run it until
And listen, dude, we keep talking about having a good secondary. Well, here we go. Right? Here we go.
They're going to be on islands. It's going to be a lot of man coverage.
Here's the problem. Okay. One of the problems is Kendall Dolby he's questionable. Now, we're going to have an injury report later today. We don't have that out yet. Kendall Dolby is questionable. So I kind of have it listed. Nick Anderson, Hickman, Dolby, and Williams. These are the four guys that made my list in terms of injuries. Nick Anderson, in order to win, is a must-have. Branson Hickman, must-have. I think in order to win the game, these two guys have to play a significant amount of snaps. Kendall Dolby is a nice-to-have. Like, I think we can win the game without Kendall Dolby, but people love him. If you're gonna beef up the run, you're gonna need that nickel to be able to swarm around and make some plays. So he's a nice-to-have. And then Gentry Williams, I think we live one way or the other. I think we are really solid at corner between Woody and Jacoby and Des Malone and Kenai Walker.
Gentry. I would say Des Malone made some nice plays down the field.
He did.
Yeah,
he did, dude. He looked really, really good. And
especially for a new player transfer, right, from San Diego State.
Yeah. Does Robert Spears Jennings have a concussion?
I have no idea. I have not heard.
Gosh, I just remembered him now. I don't know.
But again, your front seven, you got to stop the run. You guys got to be in the right gaps because, again, they spread you out sideline to sideline. And they're just trying to create gaps, kind of get you misaligned to find one gap on the inside zone. And then, of course, it sets up the play action for the deep shots. So you guys got to be in the right spots. And I think your defense, like I said, I think your defense will be fine. I think you'll make some plays. I think you'll make things frustrating for them at times. My concerns for OU are mostly on offense. And really it's just the lines.
Let me just ask this question. Is Tennessee better than Texas was a year ago?
I don't know yet. I honestly can't answer that.
You think there's a question? You think there's a question? A team that went to the college football playoff?
Well, I mean, Tennessee could potentially be that. I just haven't seen.
Did y'all beat Alabama?
Know.
You beat Alabama at this point in the season. Y'all beat Alabama last year.
Yeah. So
Alabama.
At this point,
at Alabama.
Correct. At this point, no, because they haven't played anybody yet.
And OU beat Texas on a neutral field.
Correct.
And we're hosting them at one of the hardest places to play in college football.
All correct.
At night. With a defense that will make it very, very hard on Nico. So
Yes.
I don't know. Let's pick it. Let's pick this game.
Do it.
Let's pick this game. The spread, the DraftKings spread as of Wednesday at 11:30 was 7 points. OU as a 7-point dog at home. Kevin, I'm taking OU. I mean, at home, I'm trusting Oklahoma on this one. I'm taking OU.
Okay. I'm going with Tennessee in this one.
Wow.
Because it is for one reason and one reason only. It's
offensive line.
The way the offensive line has looked so far.
That's fair.
And maybe Hickman comes back and everything changes. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere. It's going to be a moment for University of Oklahoma. So I'm happy for you as a friend that you guys get to experience that and have a showcase game for the entire country.
Thank you.
But yeah, it's the offensive line for me.
I think
your defense will play very well, but it's the offensive line for me.
Kevin, let's give a shout out to Brown O'Haver. Brown O'Haver is a public insurance adjusting firm. This means they are licensed by the state of Oklahoma and over 20 other states to adjust insurance claims on property losses. This is losses to your home or your business from fire, wind, theft, flood, vandalism, tornado, hail, whatever the case may be. If you have to file a claim on your property, give Brown O'Haver a call, 405-735-5510. Let them work for you to get you more money. On average, they get their clients 30 to 40% more than they get on their own. Give Brown O'Haver a call, 405-735-5510. Kevin, we spent a lot of time on Tennessee and Oklahoma. We got a little time left for Texas ULM, but this isn't about Texas ULM, is it? This is about one man and his quest to be the greatest football player in the history of football, Arch Manning. Does anything in this game derail him from accomplishing that goal?
No, we're right on track. No, we're excited about this, right? As I've told you, I think for Texas to be the championship team that they potentially can be, they do need Quinn Ewers to be healthy. But I'm really excited to see Arch. His development has been right on track, right like we hoped it would be. It was great to see him out there in a game that actually mattered, in a moment that mattered, right? Barely in the second quarter. When he got in there, he played very well. There's a lot for him to work on. We saw the potential. We saw the athletic ability that most people didn't realize he had. We saw him throwing the ball well. But again, we saw something. He was locked on to his first read a little bit longer than you would hope. He did take a sack. So, yeah, it's exciting to see him kind of face everything from the jump, going up against an actual team. And, yeah, I'm excited for him to show off what he can do.
You got to think he's getting way more reps than he typically gets as well.
Oh, yeah, he's getting all the reps now.
So you get the reps that Quinn normally has. You're going to – I don't know. You were a bigger favorite against UTSA. Is ULM worse than UTSA, or are they about the same, just both terrible?
I think they're about the same. I think it's just having the inexperienced quarterback in the game is probably why the line is less. And, you know –
well, no, I think the line's bigger.
Him.
I think the line bigger.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, ULM's horrible. Yeah, I mean, UTSA gets respect because of Jeff Traylor and what they've done over the past few years. And, you know, they've shown the ability to at least be competitive against better teams. But ULM, man, I mean, come on.
We joked about I don't know. I was kind of tongue-in-cheek about Arch on Sunday when we did our recap. But I'm going to ask it seriously now. Is there anything Arch can do to take the job away from Quinn next week?
I still don't think so, man.
You don't think so?
Yeah,
Quinn is the guy.
So. Yeah, Quinn is the guy. Yeah, we've been building this thing up for 3 years.
I don't know, man. That athleticism is something else.
It really
is. It surprised me. When that run happened, it surprised me. And you just don't – it's hard to be surprised anymore watching college football and pro football. Yeah. But, man, he took off, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, for him to juke that safety like that, like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. So I think you've been right this whole time. So there's no reason to say you're not right. But man, if he goes and throws 5 touchdowns in the first 3 quarters, people are, you know how people are, man, and you know how fan bases are. And this is Arch freaking Manning.
Correct. And
you're going against
anytime this dude steps on the field, the buzz, the how loud the stadium gets when he comes out there, it's unreal, man.
And your first game is next week against Mississippi State. That's your first
SEC game. Yeah. Quinn needs to get back, though. Quinn, you got to get back. You know, if you're healthy, you got to get back. Don't even let this become a thing.
If he plays against Mississippi State and balls out, will you change your mind then? Or are we just going to take this one game at a time?
Yeah, it's going to be a one-game thing. I still don't feel comfortable, at least as of right now, with Arch Manning stepping out in the Cotton Bowl.
That's the way bigger concern.
Yeah, so so that's what I'm saying. As far as him taking the job, I don't want him out there yet.
We have seen that this is the Boomer Bevo podcast, dedicated to OU, Texas, Oklahoma. We have seen very, 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 very good quarterbacks get shell-shocked in the Cotton Bowl. I think back to Jalen Hurts, 2019. We were the better team that year. We were loaded.
Yeah,
CeeDee Lamb was on that team. I mean, we see what he's about. And he proved it that day because he was he was the best player in college football in 2019 in October on that field. But we saw Jalen Hurts, who came in with a lot of swagger. Nobody is more self-confident in the world than Jalen Hurts.
Correct.
And it's almost it is an admirable trait. That's what you want from your quarterback, right? Supreme confidence.
For sure.
And even right now in the NFL, when he's up and when he's down, it doesn't matter. He's extremely confident. So that's a positive thing. But he was very confident about not being intimidated by the Cotton Bowl. You remember that?
Yeah. Yes, because he played in the Iron Bowl is what he said.
Because he played in the Iron Bowl. He's played against Auburn or whatever. And he played against Georgia. And so all these things, he did not look good in the first half of that football game.
No.
It rattled
not comfortable. It's a different deal. It's a home and a road game at the same time. It's the emotional swings are a lot to balance. Even as a fan, it's exhausting.
Oh, it's the most exhausting game you'll ever go to. It's the absolute most exhausting game you'll ever go to. Unless it happens to be 2022 and you leave with like 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Not that exhausting. Exhausting.
No.
Either side.
We've been there. We've both been there.
But for the last 5 or 6 years, it has been exhausting. Like games have been just insane. It has been hot, miserable. And you're right. If you were to roll Arch out, what BB can do with this defense would be hard, which is what I think is going to be hard for Nico this week. Okay? As good as Nico is, as good as we know Arch is and is going to be, BB has seen these kind of quarterbacks before. And, you talk about building. All right, well, maybe we've lost a little bit offensively, whether it's injuries, whether it's coordinator, whatever. We've lost, but the defense has been building to the point where, Kevin, does Billy Bowman start at every team in the country?
I can't think of one he wouldn't.
Does Stutzman start at every team in the country?
Pretty much, yeah. I can't think of one.
I think so. And we're talking about Georgia and Alabama and Ohio State.
Alabama has pretty good linebackers, but
no, they do. They do.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying they're thinking about it.
Yeah, for sure.
They're thinking about it. They're and so the coverages that can be rolled and the blitz packages and
just disguising your looks.
You've got guys that have been in this system for three years now. They've been through 3 fall camps, but like 4 or 3 spring camps, 3 fall camps all year, and they're just very seasoned corners, very seasoned safeties, very seasoned linebackers, very seasoned defensive linemen. Like, we can do a lot of stuff. Now, will we have the offensive firepower to overcome Tennessee? We'll see. Probably. I am picking OU to win, but I think there's going to be some turnovers and stuff. But against Texas, things just change. If Quinn has seen it now. Quinn's seen it. He felt it last year too, didn't he? That was
especially in the first half.
My God. He just looked. Yeah. He did not look like the same player the other 10 or 11 games he played.
Correct.
Just didn't do it.
Yeah. He didn't figure it out in that game until really into the middle of the third quarter on. I think he had like 20 straight passes.
And then he was really good.
Yeah, he had 20 straight passes to close out the game. But yeah, those first 2 quarters, he had the 2 turnovers, the 2 interceptions, and then he had the fumble in the third quarter. Nice hit by Peyton Bowen there. He dislodged the ball.
God, it was a good hit.
5-star talent right there. Helmet on the football.
I love it, dude. I love it. I mean, God, I got to tell you, I know I got all excited when we opened up, but I believe Oklahoma can win this football game. But they got to do everything right. I do believe that. They can't have stupid I mean, all the cliches. Can't have stupid turnover. Got to be plus. They can't have stupid penalties.
Yeah, none of those false starts, holding penalties.
Especially like last week where a false start cost you a field goal and made that game somewhat interesting when it didn't have to be. So you can't have stupid penalties. You have to be plus in the turnover margin. You know, if we're +2 in the turnover margin against Tennessee, we win the game.
Yeah, I agree.
If Nico coughs it up with a couple interceptions, or we are able to just tackle somebody just right, whatever, or our Mason Thomas, who we barely talked about, get to the quarterback, get a strip, like something has to happen there, and then we just can't get I really do think I'm not sure we can get behind early, Kevin. I think we got to keep them in front of us, almost like we had to do with Texas. Like, get out in front and then just hang on.
See if we can hang on. Yeah, you can't be down 14-3, 17-3.
No. This is we don't have Baker. This isn't Baker in 2015 down 17-3 in Knoxville. Which, by the way, I went back. Do you ever just go back and watch like random fourth quarters of your team play football?
Yes, my goodness, yes.
Oh, the fourth quarter in overtime of Tennessee in 2015 and that's like Baker's coming out show, right? I mean, that was so good, dude. And Somaje and Sterling Shepard and was it Sanchez with the interception? I think. Oh my God, man, it's so good. It's so good. One of the best. Oh, I love it. I love every second of it. Kevin, you got NFL.
Real quick, is Texas covering?
Oh yeah, it's such a big line.
It is.
I mean, Texas could win 48-7 and not cover. Right? Hell, they might even still cover. I'm going to say ULM covers, but I don't feel good about it. I just think it's a lot of points, backup quarterback, yada, yada, yada. I'm going to say ULM, but I'm not here like feeling great about that. I definitely wouldn't pick this game if I didn't have to.
No, me neither. But just because the game plan might be just to get a nice lead and then just run deflate the air out, just run it, and just try to get out of there with the win, even if it's 35 points. If you're up 35-0, So I'll take ULM to cover as well.
Well, that actually makes me feel better. Okay, so we have a couple different picks this week. We have actually 3 different picks. So last year we went the same, but this week I've got OU, you've got Tennessee, I have Utah, you got Oklahoma State, I have Michigan, you have USC. So far, we're staying above 500. You're at 500, I'm at 97. This could be a pivotal week.
Yes, things are going to change.
NFL, they benched Bryce Young yesterday. Thoughts on that?
I'm surprised. I mean, Andy Dalton, maybe he can do better. So I mean,
did you have any idea Andy Dalton was still in the league?
No, I did not.
I had no idea, dude. He had a very good career at Cincinnati. I don't think he ever won a playoff game, but I mean, it's Cincinnati. He held them together, and they were very competitive.
He got there, yeah.
And then hung on in the league. Did he play for Dallas when Dak went down a little bit? Nothing against Andy Dalton, except he's just old.
Yeah.
And we know what that's like. I mean, golly, how old is Andy Dalton?
I think he's 36.
Man, that is 36. You're right. Jeez Louise. I don't know. I mean, It's funny, all the memes going around that show Baker and Sam Darnold and what their stats are since leaving Carolina.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's not Bryce Young's fault. The problem is, though, is I feel like there's a possibility that Bryce Young might be the probably. Well, here's the deal. Reality-wise, not a lot of Alabama quarterbacks have been really amazing in the pros.
Yeah.
Outside of Tua. And Tua's
Yeah, it's been
durability,
amazing.
obviously.
Yeah.
You say amazing. You say Tua's been amazing.
No, I say he hasn't been amazing.
He hasn't been amazing. He's had some amazing plays, but
Yeah,
he hasn't been
exactly.
amazing. He's a starter. He's a very solid starter.
Uh-huh.
But I think that there's an argument there that Alabama quarterbacks, which it used to be Oklahoma quarterbacks, so we've gone through this same problem where the system creates really good players, but when they get to the NFL, that fades quickly. Do you think Bryce Young is going to be that, or do you see him in the next 3 or 4 seasons bouncing back, getting another starting position, maybe a different team, and being the guy that possibly we thought he was?
Well, you can go from struggling to being a solid quarterback, right? Like people thought Baker was done,
Yeah,
right? And he's
but
proven to
Baker won a
be.
play. But Baker won a playoff game.
That's true. That's true. But he just had never really stood out. Now he's looking really good. He's been really good so far this season, right? Like he looks like a guy, like a solid starting quarterback in the NFL. So I mean, I
Yeah,
think
he's a
he still
top 10.
has a
He's a
chance.
top 10 quarterback right now.
Yeah, so far to start the season, he's been lights out, right? And then if you look at a guy like say Geno Smith, who looked like he
Yeah.
was out of the league, he got benched, and now he's a solid starting quarterback, right? Like he's a good. No, he's not great, but he's a good quarterback for a Seattle team that can make the playoffs.
Okay, so Texas played Bryce Young in his senior year in Austin. So you saw him up close and personal one game where you focused in on every single play he made. That was the year after he had won the Heisman. Did you see a little drop off, though, in his performance compared to his Heisman winning year when he did not have the talent around him that he had the previous year?
Yes.
See, that's what makes me a little nervous about it, is that he was starting to drop off even at Alabama before he went to the pros. That's the only thing that, whereas Baker and Kyler, I'm just using them as Oklahoma examples, they were ascending, right? They were getting better with every successive year at OU.
Yeah.
I worry about Bryce. I worry about his size.
He looks really small out there. I mean, he looks smaller than Kyler Murray does. Because Kyler at least has some size on him. He's short. But
how do you like Kyler
he looks
Murray
small.
how do you like Kyler Murray doing the Larry Bird at the All-Star game 3-point contest after throwing the touchdown? Did you see this?
I did. He looks great, man. He looks like the guy we remember from 2018. It's dynamic.
I'm glad that Arizona stayed with him, and I'm glad he stayed with Arizona because
Me too.
I mean, a lot like we're talking about here. I still think the biggest issue there was Kingsbury. I just think he was terrible. He was a terrible coach. What else in the world of football? Are your Cowboys going to survive this year, or might they implode and never play
I
another
think
game?
they could implode. I mean, I didn't have them making the playoffs this year.
Oh, you didn't pick them to make the playoffs? You didn't think they were going to win the East? Who do you have winning the East?
Philadelphia. I don't even think they're that good, but
yeah. What'd you think about that pass to Saquon?
I didn't mind the call. I mean,
yeah,
you put the game away.
And it wasn't a bad throw either. You got to make the pass. If you're going to get paid, you got to make the catch.
You got to catch it. You're Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
So, I don't mind the decision. It wasn't executed right.
The Manning cast has had Bill Belichick on the last 2 weeks. I'm not a big fan.
Okay.
I like Belichick as a coach. He's the greatest coach of all time, probably, whatever. But as like a TV personality.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's interesting, though. You have to listen to him, though, because he just knows so much.
Yeah, I know. But, okay. There's a lot of smart people that know a lot of stuff that we don't listen to, though.
Yeah, but I guess with him being a guy who never said anything, right? I mean, his whole stick was, well, you know, we gotta go to the next game, and we'll see what happens next week, and So it's just interesting hearing him actually talk in a normal voice and give some sort of insight.
The only other commentary I'm going to make on announcers is through 2 weeks, I'm very disappointed in Tom Brady. He hasn't been good.
He was better this past week than he was the first week. But we'll see.
Is he going to have 3 Cowboy games in a row?
I'm not sure. Yeah,
I think the Cowboys are the game of the week again, man.
I guess. Well, I mean, people watch. That's the thing about the Cowboys, right? If they're on, people watch. If the post-game shows, they always start with the Cowboys because it gets the most traction. So, yeah, I mean, hosting Baltimore, may get Tom Brady again.
I think you are getting Tom Brady again.
Yeah.
So you're saying there's a chance he improves again. We'll get some more improvement. Yeah, you haven't given up on Tom Brady.
No,
you do not want to bench Tom Brady like Carolina benched Bryce Young.
Hasn't been good. He hasn't been Jason Witten bad. You remember Jason Witten when he did Monday Night Football?
Dude, there's so many guys on Monday Night Football that were terrible.
No, but I mean, it was a disaster. Because sometimes you get guys, it just doesn't work with these guys together.
Yeah.
You know, if you have a certain combination, it doesn't work. But yeah, Witten was historically bad. I love the guy too, so no. Former Tennessee Volunteer. I wonder if he'll be in Norman. I heard Peyton Manning's coming to the game.
I heard Peyton Manning, and I heard Morgan Wallen was trying to buy out a suite from an OU. Okay, you're a suite holder at Texas. Let's put it in your court. Okay, you're a suite holder at Texas. So first of all, how much do you pay for that suite a year? $100,000 a year?
Maybe, yeah. We'll throw that out there just to say.
You think so? That's probably about right.
I have no idea. Never priced it, but we'll just for the example, we'll use that.
Let's just say Brad O'Haver doesn't have a suite yet. I said yet, but they don't have a suite. So anyway, so you got a suite. So you paid $100,000. If you own a suite or have a suite, maybe not own, but you have a suite, you are insanely rich. Right? So I'm not sure that there's enough money for you to want to sell it to a Tennessee fan.
It depends on, because
you see what I'm saying, though?
I do.
Okay, so if you paid $100,000 for a suite, which I think that's what they go for, that probably means your net worth is in the $5 million to $10 million range.
Okay.
So what would you need, like $1 million? I mean, to me, I feel like you would need $1 million to want to sell your suite. Because if not, what difference does it make? Why are you selling your suite?
Yeah. If you don't care, because some people use these things as investments.
Are we going to see Peyton Manning and Morgan Wallen in a suite at the OU game?
Yes.
They will be in a suite. Somebody will have sold it.
Yes. Yes.
Ugh.
Yeah, because there are other things you can get that aren't necessarily cash money.
Like Morgan Wallen singing at your kid's birthday party or something?
Something like that, yeah. Maybe he gives you tickets, backstage passes to a show.
Maybe Peyton Manning films the Manning cast from your living room.
Yeah, or maybe he shows up, throws a football around with you for a while.
Oh my God! I hope that doesn't happen.
You
know what?
Man.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like how in the hell did Spike Lee get tickets to that playoff game in Indiana that year?
Yeah.
Hold
on, which one?
The one following the choke game.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's easy.
He could front row seat. Somebody in Indiana is selling Spike Lee tickets. What's happening?
Always. Yeah, it's easy.
I hate it.
You want to be more. Here's the thing about the suite. The suite does not affect the atmosphere. You want to worry about all the balls that are coming to Norman because they're coming in full force. There's gonna be a lot of orange.
Okay,
in your town. And I know you guys hate that color.
I hate orange. The suite seats 86,500. I mean, the stadium seats 86,500. What's the normal allotment
for a road fans?
For a road team? 3,500 tickets.
Yeah, no more than 5,000 max, if that.
Does Tennessee have over under 10,000 fans?
Man, I think it's right around there.
You think so?
Yes, just because.
Dude, I don't know. And here's what I'll say. This is the first SEC game.
Correct. Yeah.
Like it would take a lot. If I had tickets, it would take a lot to part with these tickets.
Because
it's
I
the
agree
first
with
one.
you. You're a fan, though. You're a hardcore fan.
Dude, there's
a lot of people
86,000
see
people.
season
These
tickets
people are
as
nuts.
investments. But yeah, but they're more nuts.
Dude,
this is their life. I'm with you. I'm with you. But you know how these guys are. They're gonna bring everybody.
That's why I put the number at 10. Because I think it could be. God, man, if you're an OU fan out there, just freaking find an OU fan to sell
here's
to.
the thing, right? If you have season tickets and your tickets are, let's just say, $100 tickets normally, and a Tennessee fan is like, I'll give you $500 for your ticket, or even more.
If you got $750 for tickets, you're paying for your whole year's worth of tickets.
Correct.
Yeah.
So,
listen,
we're all trying to make an investment.
We're all trying to make a buck, but find an OU fan to sell them to. Kevin, man, listen. I picked OU, and I'm picking OU to win, and I picked them to win at the beginning of the year. I'm picking them to win now. I feel like there's a little bit of chip on the shoulder. I feel like we're being disrespected. I feel like they think that Oklahoma doesn't. And when I say they, I mean everybody thinks that Oklahoma doesn't belong on this field on Saturday night against Tennessee. And I'm telling you what, that is the biggest bunch of crap. Oklahoma is still Oklahoma. There's only one, and they're going to show it on Saturday night. Boomer!
Hook 'em.